On behalf of my fellow co-chair, Mike Hutchinson of Hutchinson Mechanical Services and our Construction Forecast Planning Committee, I want to welcome you to the 26th Annual Construction Forecast event presented by the Southern New Jersey Development Council and TD Bank. Today's program began to take shape about 4 months ago at the first meeting of the Planning Committee. I would like to ask the members to stand, please, so you can be recognized for your time and leadership in developing this program with the topics in today's agenda, as well as reaching out to the speakers and encouraging many of you here today to attend. Could the members please stand? Thank you, guys. We're pleased to return to Stockton University and would like to thank them, especially Don and Skip, for their generosity in hosting us here today. It's great to get together in person again and to see so many familiar faces. This time last year, we hosted this event with a limited attendance and a large virtual attendance. So to be able to speak to you in a filled room is really wonderful, and I think we all agree it's a long time coming, and we've gone through a lot for the past 2 years. I'd like to make a quick note that all the guests today will receive an email with a link to view the digital program, which includes a list of today's attendees and the visual presentations you're about to see. As in years past, due to the generosity of French and Perot Associates, we will be sponsoring the construction forecast project and bid information collected from the various counties, authorities, and colleges in the region. We'll provide a link after today's program where you can download the information in its entirety. Before I introduce Greg Carlisle, our title sponsor, I'd like to take a minute to thank our exhibitors this morning and our supporting sponsors. Our supporting sponsors are AECOM Tishman, represented by Gareth Middleton, AP Construction, represented by Kevin Castagnola, Colliers Engineering, represented by Dave Nicola, ELEC 825, represented by Kate Gibbs, Greenman Peterson by Bill Carter, Greyhawk, represented by Chaz Caramana, the timekeeper, GZA, Geoenvironmental, John Oberer, Hutchinson Mechanical Services, Mike Hutchinson, Johnson Controls, represented by Kevin Donahue, Orsted, John Pauling, Sheet Metal Workers Local 19, Luke Gordon, and Stockton University, represented by Don Hudson. Our thanks to Bill Mealy and Patty Gibson of Stokes Creative Group for their photography and video services, and to Glenn DeVilla with Performance Marketing for the design and printing of our program book. We have some elected officials with us that I'd like to quickly recognize. Atlantic County Commissioner Karen Fitzpatrick, Salem County Commissioner Ed Ramsey, who's first-time visitor here, and I hope he gets a lot out of this and comes back again. Borough Mayor Rick Miller, Deptford Township Councilman Ken Barnshaw, and former City of Camden Mayor Dana Red, who you'll see later. Today's economic regional outlook is presented by Greg Carlisle, the South Jersey Market Vice President at TD Bank. This is the 26th construction forecast, and TD Bank has been the presenting sponsor of this program for 20 of the 26 years. So from now on, we're just going to round up and say that TD Bank is our founding presenting sponsor. They get extra credit for their unwavering support of this program and the continuous support and sponsorship at various events for TD Bank during a global pandemic. It is my pleasure to introduce Greg Carlisle, who has spent his professional career as a leader in the banking industry, and who has served as Vice President of the South Jersey Market for TD Bank since 2014. If everyone could please help me, please welcome Vice President Greg Carlisle to the stage.
Thank you. Thank you, Dave, and good morning to everyone. It's great to be here this morning with all of you. On behalf of TD Bank, we're thrilled to be a member and a sponsor of the Southern New Jersey Development Council, and we'd like to thank Marina Salter and her team for organizing this great event year after year. What a couple of years it has been, right? I can't tell you how exciting it is to actually be here in person, finally people in 3D, no WebEx, no Zoom, no buffering or spinning circles on your faces, asking, can you hear me now? Is this thing on? Can you hear me now? And if this were Zoom with all the people in the room, it'd be an awful lot of boxes, so thank goodness we're here in face-to-face. So in my role as Regional Vice President, I oversee all commercial and small business banking throughout Gloucester, Salem, and Cumberland counties, with the ability to fully service our entire Metro PA, New Jersey area. Furthermore, I can help our clients grow and expand anywhere into our national footprint, Maine through Florida. That footprint is soon to be expanded into areas further in the southwest U.S. In the early part of 2023 when our recently announced acquisition of First Horizon Bank becomes official. Needless to say, these are very, very exciting times at TD Bank, and I'm happy to be a part of it. My team of 4 commercial relationship managers, 5 small business relationship managers, and 4 commercial sales assistants are committed to helping businesses in New Jersey obtain the financing and full suite of banking services they need to grow, thrive, and protect their business. I've been in banking for 23 years. I've served in this New Jersey business community for the last 16, 8 with TD in this capacity. I'm very proud to be a part of TD Bank, which is a top 10 bank in the United States that happens to be headquartered right here in southern New Jersey, and soon to be a top 8 bank in the United States when the First Horizon acquisition comes to its completion. At TD, we're committed to being America's most convenient bank, whether you choose us to use a store, a phone, an ATM, or our mobile banking. We're a full-service financial institution with more than 9.7 million customers, 25,000 employees, and 1,150 stores from Maine to Florida. Our decentralized business model differentiates us from our peers as we deliver the power of a global financial services company with local leadership. I'm going to say that again, with local leadership. It's very important. That's committed to providing legendary service, community support, such as events like today, and local decision-making, just like your hometown community banks do, only obviously at a much larger scale. As mentioned, TD Bank maintains its U.S. headquarters in Cherry Hill. We have 226 stores throughout New Jersey, and just under 7,500 of the 25,000 employees we have are located here in our state. In addition to our U.S. headquarters being here located locally, you'll also find our 24/7-hour customer call service center, as well as TD University, which is located in Mount Laurel. Over the years, TD Bank has been recognized for a variety of awards that we're very proud of. Some of these include Best National Bank and Best Bank for Retirees by Kiplinger in 2020. We are the #1 SBA lender in New Jersey, as well as #1 for our entire East Coast footprint. That does not include the loan volume we did with the U.S. SBA that ranked 6th overall in the United States for PPP loans. We all kind of lived through that crisis and know what that was like, but we ranked 6th overall by producing over 130,000 loans to businesses in need throughout our footprint, and many of you are our customers, and we helped a lot of you with that, and we were very, very happy and proud of that. In addition, TD Auto Finance is ranked #1 in dealer satisfaction by J.D. Power. On top of those awards, we've also won a number of diversity and inclusion awards, such as Forbes Best Employers for Diversity in the U.S., ranked in 2021. And we're also recognized as one of America's best employers for veterans by Forbes for an organization with more than 1,000 employees. And that's just to name a couple. There are others. At TD Bank, we understand the important role small and mid-sized businesses play in our local economies, and we're committed to helping them grow by executing our one bank delivery model where business owners can be assured that all their financial services and needs are met in one stop. We believe in personalized service, so we assign a dedicated relationship manager to each customer with the goal of building long-term relationships and becoming a trusted advisor. Our commitment to local decision-making by local leaders ensures that unique challenges and opportunities of South Jersey are understood and considered in every deal we look at. In addition to being the #1 SBA lender in New Jersey, we have great relationships with the New Jersey Economic Development Authority and several micro-loan lenders and agencies throughout our state, such as RBAC and CBAC, just to name a couple. As a South Jersey Regional Vice President, I do also have the privilege to work directly with our local decision makers that sit on the board of the TD Charitable Foundation. which is our charitable giving arm for TD Bank. Our foundation's area of focus is financial security, a vibrant planet, connected communities, and better health. And I'm proud to say we awarded over $3.1 million in foundation grants in 2021 alone, just in New Jersey. Very, very proud of that. In addition to that $3.1 million, TD spent an additional $500,000 in 2021 sponsorships for events like this and virtual events that took place all last year. And our employees volunteered over 5,600 volunteer hours to local organizations and nonprofits right here in New Jersey as we battled through COVID and a very challenging working environment in 2021. That's my TD commercial, so I guess we can move on. So clearly I could keep going on about TD, but let's talk about the current state of our economy. Today I'm going to provide a high-level overview of how TD views the overall economy and how it relates to New Jersey. So let's first take a look at the New Jersey economy and our labor market. I'm going to throw out some statistics, so if I stumble a little, I apologize. There are tongue twisters kind of tied in here. So the New Jersey economy grew by almost 5% in 2021 on an annual basis, up from a negative 4.6% growth in 2020, and outpacing pre-pandemic years of 2.1% in 2019 and 2.4% in 2018, which is very good news. However, the labor market, as we know, the labor market recovery still has a bit of catching up to do. New Jersey's job recovery is roughly on par with what the nation's recovery looks like. As of April 2022, payrolls are still down close to 1% from their pre-pandemic level in February of 2020. This, however, is generally better performance than that of our neighbors in New York, who is down 4.5%, and Pennsylvania, who's down 2.9%, so we're doing pretty well. The pace of job gains in the state over the first 4 months of 2022, which is 0.45% per month, has been slightly ahead of the nation's pace of 0.35%, and that, again, of our neighbors in New York and PA. So, again, good news as New Jersey rebounds and gets back on track. In terms of the employment sectors, leisure and hospitality is an outlier, with payrolls in the latter still down close to 6% in the state. This was one of the most impacted sectors in the pandemic, so the fact that it lags in employment recovery, it's not really a shock. As construction may be of interest, construction payrolls in the state are still down roughly 2.7% from February 2020, down a bit more than the overall average of 0.9%. Sectors that are doing much better include professional and technical services, where payrolls are up 7% from their pre-pandemic level, and transportation and warehousing is up 12.2%, with the latter being New Jersey's best performing employment sector. It's important to note that that sector was less negatively impacted throughout the early phases of the pandemic, so it's no wonder why it's doing well. New Jersey's labor market is tightening, though. The unemployment rate peaked close to 16% in May of 2020, but it has headed lower, falling to 4.1% as early as April 2022. That's slightly higher than the current U.S. average at 3.6%, and its own pre-pandemic rate of 3.5%. But obviously, the rebound is doing much, much better. The decline in unemployment rate is partially attributed to a lagging in recovery of the labor force, though. While the size of the U.S. labor force is basically back to where it was before the pandemic, New Jersey's labor force is down close to 2%. Nonetheless, this is still one of the better showings compared to other states that are actually in the entire Northeast. So I'd like to turn a little bit to the residential housing market. As of April 2022, home sales in the state were down 15% from April of last year. This isn't necessarily due to low demand, however, although our current higher interest rate environment is likely to take some buyers out of the market. Most likely this is from a shortage of inventory that is likely weighed on the sales pace. The number of home sales are down more than 22% year over year, and yet price gains are still in double-digit territory. There are different measures that track price gains for us. In April, the median home price was up over 9% year over year. The measure that we typically reference in TD's reports is from a report called CoreLogic. This measure shows that New Jersey's home price growth over the last few months has been running at a 14.5% increase year over year, which is really interesting given the spike in recent interest rate moves. Housing permits or housing starts are up roughly 10% from the pre-pandemic level, which is a little surprising. The data measure can be quite volatile, so we use a 3-month average for our purposes here in our analysis. Because of that volatility, looking only at the last 2 years, it might not tell a full picture, so we go a little bit back. In fact, if we do go further back in time, we know that the housing permits in the U.S. are still below their pre-Great Recession peak back in 2006. Whereas in New Jersey, total permits are slightly above this threshold. So again, good news for New Jersey compared to the U.S. Another thing that is worth noting is that in New Jersey, a lot of the activity that is taking place in the multifamily space, and here might come a tongue twister, I always keep talking over this, it's worth noting in the multifamily space that multifamily permits are up and account for 2/3 of the total permits that are issued in the state, with single-family only making up 1/3. These figures are actually reversed when looking at the national average, where single-family permits of housing starts are 2/3 of the total, so very interesting data. As we do shift our focus to commercial real estate, talk a little bit about office, retail, multifamily, and industrial, with a little bit of focus on the latter of industrial. Let's focus on the U.S. first. This is a brief overview of the national trends, which are generally echoed across the state of New Jersey. The pandemic took a heavy toll on U.S. commercial real estate by sending vacancy rates higher and weighing on rent and price growth. These pressures, however, provide short-lived for the multifamily and industrial sectors, which saw their vacancy rates trend lower over the course of that year and eventually have fallen well below the pre-pandemic rate. The industrial sector has seen one of the better showings among the group, both in terms of rent and price growth over this 2-year period. As I was doing this data research and putting my notes together, one of the shocking findings I found, believe it or not, the latest to see its vacancy rate fall below its pre-pandemic level was retail. Very shocking. This was thanks in part to an improvement of in-person shopping, but also a very lean retail construction pipeline in the years leading into the pandemic. So very little new supply chain, and people going back to stores have really caused the demand for retail to go up, which, again, as a banker in the room, it's very shocking. The office market remains an outlier and still shows considerable bruising. After topping 12% in mid-2021, the office sector's vacancy rate has continued to move sideways, showing very little progress 2 years into the pandemic. The industrial sector, which does include logistics, benefited heavily from the shift to e-commerce during the pandemic. This has led to a lot of construction activity within the space. With the fading of the pandemic, however, the e-commerce support pillar is also losing a little bit of its luster, just as I said, as consumers are going back to more in-person shopping, but are also transitioning some of their spending habits from goods towards services. Putting these particular two pieces together, e-commerce giving back some ground, and a lot more supply poised to come as a result of strong building activity, some slowdown is in the cards, with the vacancy rate likely to grind and rent growth to cool from its very hot pace, but it still should remain positive. Some of this information and data I got from, I'm going to share an article with you. Unfortunately, I don't have a PowerPoint, so I'll say it twice. There's a pretty good article from the Wall Street Journal that I recommend you look up and give a quick read. It's titled, "Amazon Slowdown Sends Shivers Through Red Hot Warehouse Sector." It talks a little bit about the national perspective, and it does dive into some of the states. So I'll say it again if you want to look it up. Amazon Slowdown Sends Shivers Through Red Hot Warehouse Sector, and that's a Wall Street Journal article that was recently published. If I stay focused on the industrial sector for a moment, New Jersey's proximity to large, dense population areas such as New York City and Philadelphia and their highly active ports, it's a strong point for our industrial sector here in New Jersey. Looking at the New Jersey markets, where data is available to us, we've seen that the industrial vacancy rates have generally been trending lower over the course of the pandemic, and that's a measure from 2019 to Q1 2022. While Trenton's industrial vacancy rate is slightly higher now than at the end of 2019, it has generally been heading lower on a trend basis between the Trenton and northern New Jersey markets. There's another tongue twister, sorry about that. Trenton has quite a bit more supply under construction relative to its current stock, which is encouraging given the demand that is out there. And we're all obviously seeing that in our roles that we're in today. When we do a little bit of a deeper dive in the more southern part of the state, specifically Atlantic City, Ocean City, and the Vineland area, we see a huge drop in vacancy rates from 2019 to now, especially in the Atlantic City and Ocean City areas where vacancy is less than 1% today. Shockingly, and it's part of the territory I cover, and that's why I use the word shockingly, with all the growth that we've seen in Cumberland, especially in Vineland area in the recent years, we do see the vacancy rates now lower than what it was in 2019, but it's still the highest measured in the state at roughly 6% per our data. So lots of great opportunities to build and rent in the southern part of our state. So finally, I'm going to share a little bit some overall general economic remarks. So with the New Jersey economic now back to its pre-pandemic level in terms of real GDP, the easy gains are behind us. As such, we now expect the New Jersey economy to shift a little bit into lower gear, with growth poised to head lower, closer to its pre-pandemic levels and trends. This same theme holds true for the broader U.S. economy, taking into account a couple of factors such as economic growth will be constricted from tight labor markets, and the Federal Reserve's inflation fight through higher interest rates will also lead to a slower growth profile. So let's talk a little bit about rates for a moment before we look to wrap up. I assume it's very fair to say that a lot of people are interested in rates, and it's a topic on everyone's mind. So during the measured period from January 14, 2011 to May 6, 2022, new loan mortgage applications volumes peaked in January of 2022 and have since been trending downwards as interest rates continue to rise across the U.S. As a result, the U.S. housing market has been hit with a rapid adjustment. The 30-year average fixed mortgage rate is currently at 5.3%, still a pretty good rate, but 225 basis points up from this time a year ago, and the highest since August of 2009. In response, new mortgage applications have slowed. The typical mortgage payment for a median-priced single-family home is up roughly 50% from a year ago, far outpacing income growth. We estimate housing affordability has fallen to 2006 levels and is making itself self-evident with softer readings among several indicators that include pending home sales, new home sales, and purchase mortgage applications. There's also evidence that a growing, though still small, share of sellers are lowering their asking prices, and that's through Redfin data that we were able to ascertain. The housing market has begun to slow and soften, and this will likely continue over the next several quarters. Our updated best forecast scenario reflects home sales falling by about 15% from the recent peak in the fourth quarter of last year. That said, a tight supply environment with resale home inventory still near lowest levels on record should keep a floor on the decelerating price growth, with the latter expected to cool into the low single-digit territory, down from its recent double-digit pace. When we look at the year-over-year change in the U.S., existing home sales in the U.S., let me start over. When we look at the year-over-year change in the U.S., existing home sales and U.S. housing affordability indices, we see that changes between the two are closely correlated. Declines in the leading housing affordability index point to a further decline in existing home sales in the months ahead. So pretty interesting news there. We've all been living with a very hot housing market. We also considered a separate scenario where the Fed's inflation fight requires rate increases to rise an additional 50 basis points and beyond relative to our baselines that we used for our analysis for this report. It's a more aggressive interest rate environment. It would take additional buyers out of the market through a further reduction in affordability. Again, on the other hand, the potential for price expectations to weaken might further also encourage reluctant prospective sellers to finally take the plunge and list their homes for sale. This would help further ease supply and demand imbalance and cut into the home price growth slightly more. As with any volatile interest rate market, investor activity also bears careful watching. real estate investors snapped up 1 in 7 homes across America. I think I'm up from time, but I only got a couple more minutes, I promise. Real estate investors snapped up 1 in 7 homes sold across America last year, the most in 20 years. In markets with hot price growth such as Atlanta, Charlotte, and Miami, investors accounted for a staggering 1/4 of all homes sold in 2021. Investors, just to keep in mind, investors are less likely than end users to hold on to a property when market dynamics weaken. So just as a strong investor presence in a market can accentuate price pressures on the way up, it can also amplify them on the way down. So in short, regions with a heavier investor presence could compel stronger unwinding in prices if high rates or slower economic activity challenges the economics of holding on to these properties. So I'm going to take a breath. That's a lot of data to think about and absorb for sure as you project business and personal decisions that you're going to make over the next 12 months. So in conclusion, what does all this mean for us? We predict that the state economy will continue to mirror many of the national averages, in some cases better and in some cases worse. I mean, that sounds like I'm punting on that, but the data is very inconclusive and there's so many moving factors. As inflationary pressures will likely affect the labor markets, these two leading indicators will no doubt have a trickle effect into how the housing market will perform and how the future of commercial real estate will perform. As we sit in a densely populated corridor of the U.S., demand for goods and services will remain high, however. Couple that with rising interest rates, our purchasing power will continue to diminish in the short term. Looking a little bit further out, it remains to be seen where the next 12 months are going to take us, as those same factors need to be monitored and managed very closely, making sure we do not slip into a recession. I think everybody's heard that rates over the next month, short-term rates could rise up 100 basis points, so you have to definitely pay attention to what's going on there. Today, again, there are many macroeconomic factors at play that are very beyond our control, but as always, we need to keep our eye on moving forward and growing. New Jersey, the great news for New Jersey is, we do possess a skilled workforce. We have excellent educational institutions such as the one we're in today, and we have proximity to major urban centers, and our housing is still relatively affordable. So these foundational economic building blocks, they're going to attract millennials and they're going to retain baby boomers, provided, and I think this is a big key that we all feel here, provided that we tailor our housing products to accommodate their needs and we keep taxes in check, which remains a pressing problem the state continues to tackle and works to solve. So that concludes my overview and my remarks. I want to thank Maureen and her team once again for putting together another successful event this year. I'm also thankful for all of you coming out on this beautiful Friday morning. Clearly, an early round of 18 holes or the beach was a good competitor, so I appreciate you bearing with me going a couple minutes over. I hope you enjoy the rest of your program, and thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. First off, really nice presentation. I'm Mike Haggerty. I'm Director of Project Management with the Camden County Improvement Authority. In that capacity, I'm privileged to also serve as with a fantastic team at Camden County College as the Director of Facilities. And so it's my privilege to act as the moderator today for the first panel presentation, which is titled Growing and Expanding Higher Education Institutions. We're pleased to present this information on new construction and retrofitting projects in educational institutions. And my role as moderator basically is to stay out of the way because we have a lot of information to present and to keep things on time. So on that note, allow me to invite our speakers to take the seats on the stage. So first, Don Borden, the president with Camden County College. Backwards, okay. Don Hudson, vice president of facilities at Stockton University. Dana Red, Rowan Rutgers Board of Governors. Joe Campbell, vice president with Division of Facilities, Planning and Operations at Rowan University. and Don Borden, the president with Camden County College. So we've asked each to give us a 5 to 10 minute overview presentation. I'll ask that you save your questions, and we'll have time at the end to ask questions from the audience there. So our first panelist, presentation number 1, Don Borden, Camden County College president. So a brief overview of Don. Don Borden was appointed the 5th president of Camden County College on April 5th, 2016, following a nationwide search by the college's Board of Trustees. Mr. Borden assumed the presidency on July 6, 2016. President Borden has over 40 years' experience as an educational leader in Camden County. As a career educator, he has served the public in many roles, including teacher, principal, superintendent, and adjunct professor. His educational philosophy and passion demonstrate an ability to lead organizations by encouraging both innovation and fiscal responsibility, creating pathways for student success. Mr. Borden has been a resident of Camden County for over 40 years. Please welcome President Don Borden.
Thanks, Mike. So I'll start with a disclaimer. Anything I say that is not factual, Mike, overseeing our facilities, can weigh in and point me in the right direction. I feel like I have a handler here, which is a good thing. I'd be remiss if I didn't introduce you all to the 6th president of Camden County College. I'll be retiring at the end of this month, and joining us today in the back of the room, if you would stand up, is Dr. Lavelle Pugh-Bassett. She's back there in case any hand signals are necessary to kind of get me directed in the right way. So it's really an interesting time to be invited to an event like this. We're in a place none of us ever expected to be, and dealing with issues that we never thought we'd be dealing with 2 years ago. The comment about the spinning and the Brady Bunch, I've had a lot of people complain about that, but I think about the fact if we didn't have that technology available to us, certainly in education, what would we have done? And as we look at construction and projects, all of those factors are major considerations in terms of what we do right now. The economic impact of gas prices for a commuter college is a huge issue. The fact that more students and faculty are comfortable working in a remote environment are huge issues for us. For those of you that don't know much about Camden County College, we have locations in Blackwood, our primary campus. We have a full campus in Camden City, a satellite campus at the Rohr Center in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, and we also oversee the Regional Emergency Training Center in Lakeland, which runs our police and fire academies and does EMS training, et cetera. I think we have the largest footprint, I'm going to say I know we have the largest footprint of any community college in New Jersey. So in terms of expansion, under the considerations I just talked about, more students being comfortable remotely, more students not wanting to spend $5 upwards a gallon in gas, we're looking at more and more of our students being in a remote environment. So we're not really looking to grow the square footage of our campuses with this codicil, if it makes sense programmatically. And Mike has been involved in conversations where we've talked about electric vehicle maintenance. We have an automotive maintenance program on our campus, and this is just one example that I'm going to talk about. To do EV, we have to build a facility that's going to be able to manage that. So in terms of expansion, it will be program-driven, not numbers-driven, because there are less students in South Jersey. More of them are looking to do things remotely, and our facility work, which you'll see through the slide presentation I'm going to go through very quickly, is going to reflect that, I think, in terms of the projects we're dealing with. So pray for me that this is going to work here. We are right now finishing the completion of a 41,500 square foot building on the Blackwood campus, and this is a renovation. It reflects the fact that our theater and arts center had not been refurbished in probably 30 years or more.
Yep.
And there were safety issues, candidly, accessibility issues. The bathrooms were circa Soviet Union 1965. So, you know, we want that to be a center of arts and humanities in Camden County. We're in the process of refurbishing that. That's the kind of thing that I think when you talk about what we do, you're going to see opportunities for businesses to help us get that done. Roof projects, and I'm not going to read slides to you, but you can see the number of roof projects that we have. They started, what, 10 months ago we started, and we are now in our third and fourth project and have another one. We just had a pre-meeting yesterday because our buildings have been in existence for a number of years, and those things fail, especially flat roofs. So we are doing a lot of work in terms of refurbishing our roofs. Interesting, the Roar Center is our newest center. It was established 22 years ago. We had hoped to celebrate our Roaring 20s in 2020, and that never happened. But that facility, too, is being refurbished in a way that really reflects program need. We are building a cybersecurity center there because, again, in terms of reflecting needs in our community, particularly in Cherry Hill, which has a huge business environment, we know that that's going to drive students to us because there's a need from an employment perspective at the back end of that. Because it is a kind of a tech center in that regard, we now have, you know, teams that play sports. I'm 66 years old. I've yet to play a video game, I think. But my kids are committed. My boys are committed to playing video games. So we've put an arena in that area, and it's going to be booked 24/7. And there's also job possibilities for that. So again, programmatically, that's the kind of work that we're going to be doing. Interior renovations and improvements. Again, I'm not going to read things for you, but the workforce development end of things located at the Cherry Hill campus requires us to do some work in that regard. Part of it is about visibility, whether it be security upgrades. Also, listen, we're all concerned about that right now. And having a campus in the middle of Camden City, always an issue, but really all of our campuses, that's something that we're concerned about. Improving the interior, exterior lighting and signage, but again, how do we do it in a way that's going to save us money, right? So energy efficiency is also really important. College Hall in Camden City. Now here's an issue that I really want to talk about. Equity, right? Social justice. One of the things we've embraced in our college is the fact that anything we offer at our main campus, we need to be able to offer in our urban campus at Camden City. And there has been gaps in that. As a result of that, we are really working hard to upgrade labs and add labs. Camden City is right in the middle of the Meds and Eds corridor. You'll hear from Dana later. And we know that by driving students in pre-nursing programs, allied health programs, that we're going to provide opportunities. So there's an investment to meet that in terms of clinical labs, meeting space, classrooms, et cetera. But again, all of these things are refurbishes, not add-ons. So I mentioned the 3 new science lab, new science prep room, clinical labs for workforce training, particularly in the areas of allied health. Okay, I'm running out of time. I'm going to go through the same thing, boom, boom, boom. All right, I'm out. I'm going to go back because I don't know. I'm hitting you. Sorry, someone's got to get rolling back to the beginning. I messed up.
Thank you, Don.
Yeah.
So presentation number 2 is from Joe Campbell, Vice President with Division of Facilities at Rowan University.
So, Greg, we're still doing things, somewhat.
I'll give you a quick introduction first.
Okay.
How about that? So as I said, Joe Campbell is Vice President for Division of Facilities Planning and Operations. He's known for his extensive, diverse higher education experiences gained from work at both public and private universities. His experience includes facilities, procurement, auxiliary services, contracting, third-party development, housing and residential living, medical health, welfare benefits, contracting, student success and retention programs, student engagement, athletics, community development, and economic inclusion initiatives. That's quite a plate there. So, welcome, Joe.
Okay, am I on the clock?
You're on the clock.
Okay, so Greg, I just wanted to say, we're still doing some of these WebExes, so out of habit, I have to say, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. So, thank you everybody for inviting me to speak today, and welcome. The picture that you're seeing up there is the newest building on our campus, Discovery Hall, which we're proud of because that was completed during the pandemic. And that was completed by Terminal Construction in partnership. We had Gloucester County Improvement Authority had a lot of help with that too. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Roland, and I have to say also that I'm bringing you greetings from our president, Ari Hushman, who keeps us busy, and I always say that when we're on our campus that we're an opportunity-rich environment, and every day is filled with opportunities, and Ali Hushman makes sure that happens. Okay, so we have, just to give you an idea, we have 8 campuses actually, locations. We have Glassboro, we have the medical school in Camden, we have the medical school over in Stratford. We've added another medical school building over at RCSJ in Sewell. We're working on the Fossil Park campus now, and hopefully Babco Construction is doing a lot of work today on that because they have a very challenging job, and that's over there in Mantua. We also have the Burlington campus, our West campus, which is right next to 55, where we have a tech park and soon vet school. I also want to mention that we have of course, we have the campus at the Rowan College of South Jersey in Gloucester. We also have the new building that we're out on bid right now, working with the Cumberland County Improvement Authority on that one for the 15,000 square foot clinical practice facility that will be built by 2024, I believe that's it is. So that's it, and we also have a lot of clinical practice sites throughout the state. 3 minutes, okay. I just say that that's a nice slide of all of our projects that we have going on. I also would like to say that we do, our motto for moving forward is we build with our capital, but we also like using other people's money, so we'll look at long-term leases, collaborations with other institutions, collaborations with municipalities, and public-private partnerships. So this is what you came for. You want to know what projects we have going on. And I can see by looking at my screen there that I can't really do that, so I'm going to go to the paper, which is even back before that, right? So the first one I want to talk about is we have a renovation that we have coming up that's going to be of our Campbell Library. We're going to create the library of the future. We're in the middle of design right now. We expect to be doing that project and going out to bid. It's a 137,000 square foot facility. 70,000 square feet is what's going to be renovated. A lot of technology. We're going to definitely be upgrading all of the mechanical infrastructure in that building, plus adding a lot of collaboration spaces and other spaces for students to learn and for faculty to use academic resources or bring them in. We have the Glassboro Intermediate School that we recently purchased. It's a 79,000 square foot building. We're going to be moving a number of our non-student facing functions to that location. And so we're going to be renovating that and converting it from the classroom into an administrative building. It sits on 9.2 acres, 5 acres of that is also, could be potential development property. I mentioned that we're doing the Rowan vet school. That would be on the West Campus. I'll have 1 minute. I can use 1 minute just to talk about the vet school here. So the vet school is going to be is something that right now we just hired our designer for that. That project is going to be probably in the neighborhood of 135,000 square feet. It's going to include the vet school academic component. It's going to have a small animal clinic there as part of that program, and it's also going to have 55,000 square feet of research space. We have lots of underground infrastructure projects that we're doing, and I would encourage all contractors that do infrastructure works, particularly with high-pressure steam pipes, condensate pipes underground. We are replacing a lot of it. Currently, we're getting our bids are very limited, one maybe two, so we're looking for others to kind of join in those projects. We have various upgrades that we're going to be doing in our residence halls, but the biggest part of those upgrades is going to be technology improvements. All right. That's the 1 minute bell, right? That's what you told us, so I got another minute there. All right, so over on our Stratford campus, we're going to be doing some replacing the building automation system, and we're also going to be working on replacing the fire alarm system. If you're interested in the projects, keep an eye on this website here. That's where all of our projects are posted. You got it? Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Okay, our next presentation is from Dana Rudd, from the Rowan-Rutgers Board of Governors. Although Dana needs no introduction, I'm going to try to provide her a brief one. She is responsible for overseeing the board operations and construction of the 95,000 square foot Joint Health Sciences Center, charged with developing programmatic and policy initiatives which reflect the board's mission and overarching objectives of education, economic development, and civic engagement. Dana's worked in various positions, from local government to the New Jersey State Senate, most recently serving as the mayor of Camden City, where she successfully transitioned the city from state takeover to local control. Welcome, Dana.
Thank you, Mike. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for the introduction. It is indeed a privilege and an honor to be here at the Southern New Jersey Development Council, and I want to thank Jane and Marlene for their past support of my efforts in Camden when I served as mayor, and certainly this platform to share the work of the Joint Board. I thought we had 10 minutes, my friend. I see I have 5, so I'm going to flip through. So I'm going to flip through my PowerPoint as quickly as possible, but I think my comments would tie in with the previous two presenters in terms of how we talk about the eds and meds, and with a focus on higher education and how higher ed is transforming urban and rural centers, such as what we're witnessing in the city of Camden and certainly on the campus in Glassboro at Rowan University. A little bit about the Joint Board, who we are and what we do. The Joint Board, known as the Rowan University Rutgers-Camden Board of Governors, was created in 2012 under the New Jersey Medical and Health Sciences Education Restructuring Act. The Joint Board is an innovative partnership between two world-class public research institutions, and we are designed to create meaningful shared research between these two academic institutions, along with unique education and training programs. And we do this through collaboration and facilitation, not only between Rutgers and Rowan, but certainly with other educational entities such as Camden County College. And our mission is to unify and leverage the existing education, research, and medical assets in Camden to sustain and create economic growth, not only for the city, but certainly through the region. And we do this through our 3 objectives, which is economic development, education, and civic engagement. To the credit of my predecessor, Chris Calori, one of the first projects that the board developed was the Joint Health Sciences Center, which represents phase 1 and 2 of the Health Sciences campus in downtown Camden. It is conveniently located across from the Walter Rand Transportation Terminal. The Joint Health Sciences Center is the latest addition to the Eds and Meds Quarter, what I would like to call the Eds, Meds, and Research Quarter in Camden, and we opened our doors in October of 2019, just before the pandemic. the first of its kind in the state of New Jersey. We are home to Rowan University, Rutgers University Camden, the Cooper Medical School of Rowan University, Camden County College, and the administrative offices of the Joint Board. And this facility represents a $70 million investment. And just to really underscore what Don Borden said earlier, what we are finding is there is more demand for research labs and classroom space for instruction, in addition to the collaborative amenities. At the Joint Board and working with all of our institutional partners, we are planning phase 3, designing the building and considering what classroom space, lab space will be required, again, to advance the Eds, Meds, and Research Quarter in the city of Camden. The next project to present to you, just to show you the impact of higher ed in places like Camden, is the Camden Athletic Fields. On May 2nd, the Joint Board, along with Rutgers University Camden, Camden County, and Mayor Vic Karstoffen, cut the ribbon on this $16.8 million investment. What you see here is an athletic complex that consists of a baseball field, multi-purpose playing field, multi-lane track, portable viewing stands, lighting, and field house building support. And we know that this is an amazing asset with a location and views that are second to none in the city of Camden to the backdrop of the Philadelphia skyline. What I would also state is that this investment positions Rutgers University for exponential growth in the future, and it also creates access to open playing fields for our residents and youth and families in the city and throughout the region. And we are really excited about the activities that are happening. Just recently, we saw the Camden Track Club host their track meet with visitors from around the region right on the Camden waterfront. Next, I will tell you that as we are planning phase 3 in the city of Camden with respect to the health sciences campus, we are working collaboratively with the residents in the community. Our timing, I think, is really, really great because if you think about all of the announcements that have been made, just last year, Governor Murphy announced a $250 million investment in the redesign of the Walter Rand Transportation Terminal. There's a pedestrian bridge that is in the planning stages as well. We are planning the Life Sciences Collaborative Center, where we anticipate 50 to 60,000 square feet, a $40 million investment overall. And Rutgers Camden is planning their business school, which will represent 100,000 square feet at $85 million investment. And then Chad is about to ring the bell. So on my last slide, Chad, we went to Bishop Eustace together. Give me a break, right? Now. So yes, we are both alumni of Bishop Eustace. So trying to take advantage of our relationship. And on the last slide, with respect to workforce development, and again to President Borden's comments earlier, how we are working to respond to the labor demand for positions in the healthcare field. We partner with Camden County College to train residents, particularly our graduating high school students, as certified medical assistants. And preparing the workforce to respond to the labor market is really another one of our key objectives as we move forward with transforming the city, transforming this region, and making sure that we have a robust economy. So thank you so much for the opportunity to present. Thank you.
Thank you, Dana. Our final presenter is Don Hudson, who is our gracious host. To him and his team, thank you very much. As Senior Vice President, Don oversees facilities management and plant operations, facilities planning and construction, real estate, parking and transportation, engineering and energy management, environmental health and safety. He oversees the university's Department of Public Safety, including the police department and security, as well as emergency management. Please welcome Don Hudson.
Thank you. 3 hours, thank you. So welcome to Stockton University. I'm going to cut right to some real good facts and really try to stick to opportunities for y'all in the construction project world. You may or may not know that this past year, the Governor's Office and the Office of the Secretary of Higher Education is about to release another round of grant dollars. I think it gets posted on Monday. We'll review and participate in applications this summer for about $400 million pool of projects. So the competition's on, Joe. Okay? Okay, go with 400. That's all right, that's how much I need. So what we typically do at Stockton is, this summer is obviously the big time for construction. I'm really proud to say our board always approves us for about 4% of the overall operating budget the university applied to capital needs and projects, which represents about $10 million allocation every year. And they roll, they're not fiscal year oriented, but they're approved and they roll. So right now we're working on about $10 to $15 million of projects currently, in addition to a significant project in Atlantic City, and then there's other outside of the envelope capital projects. And I'm going to zip through just like kind of the top three, just to kind of give you a feel for it. But roughly, we are in the area of about $125 million over the next 18 months of activity. This is just a quick update. This is the project I introduced to you all last year. It is well underway. It's 135,000 square foot, 416 bed, a residential hall. Another piece of the puzzle in Atlantic City. When it's done, about this time next year, it'll represent about 1,000 beds in Atlantic City. The volume of students is going to generate more activity. We're moving more program. We're in the middle of kind of re-strategizing our intents for Atlantic City, but moving to a significant live, learn, work environment. And right now, this summer, we're actually entertaining about 140 students who are living on campus, working in the city, and taking classes, all part of a collaboration with the area businesses. This is a shot. This is actually about 3 weeks old, so that's how bad it is. We've made much more progress. It's almost topped off. And we'll celebrate a topping off party in July. And that'll be it completed. But back to the Galloway campus, where I'm going to just kind of talk about 2 or 3 major projects that are going on. This is our multicultural center. As you know, there's a lot of interest in just accepting diversity and inclusion. Our board and our cabinet have created a strategic plan to represent allocation to assets and programs for multicultural, and we're going to develop an antiquated 50-year-old space into a brand new multicultural center. This just went out to bid. We expect construction to start sometime this summer. We still are going to be open for landscaping and FF&E, artwork still to apply. But we are celebrating our 50th year anniversary, and these portions of the building were original and now vacated when we built our new quad project with the last allocation of capital money from the state. What this does is it also opens up opportunities across the university. It creates other venues for expansion in our existing facilities, and reuse and repurpose of antiquated facilities are just as important as integrating new. I'm just going to let this ride for about 30 seconds more. In rehearsal, this went a lot faster. So those are the doors. We're still. Thank you for the clarification. You're welcome. This is more doors. But these are, what you can see there, I don't need to paint more of a picture than what it is, but it's an opportunity to expand programs related to diversity and inclusion. And it really is a continuation of other facilities that we have built on campus specifically for the vets. We created a new Women's Gender and Sexuality Center, and this is another extension of that involvement. I'm going to move on now. All right, so the last project I want to talk about is a real significant investment into our athletic programs. But the synergy that has created in this project is substantial. It is currently in design. The university has championed an idea to try to improve our wellness programs and our recreation programs. I don't have to actually go into the details of the advantages of the mental wellness as it's contributed to the physical wellness. But what we've seen is a potential to build a 25,000 square foot addition to our existing sports center, and it's now going to become a much more inclusive facility that actually is going to generate momentum across the board. It's going to include new exercise science programs, forensic science, athletic trainer expansions, dance, recreation. It involves all kinds of our resources. Some of our colleagues are here. Marathon Engineering is doing our engineering. I don't know if Sasha's represented here, but they're the architects. What we're looking to do is an entry lobby to celebrate recreation and wellness, nutrition, the obvious, and what we're considering this is kind of like a Planet Fitness kind of operation. And of course, our dance program. Celebrates performing arts, and performing arts is our next big wave of improvement. So we see performing arts and library services as our next two focuses over the next 2 years. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Don. Do we have time for questions at all? No time? Uh-oh, okay. So I'd like to again thank our presenters, and I think you all agree the abundance of work and the information that was presented. There's plenty of opportunities out there. So thanks again. Okay. Thank you.
Where is it?
Hello, my name is Mike Hutchinson. I'm with Hutchinson Mechanical Contractor, Project Development and Implementation. We are a full-service HVAC and energy services company, and I am also a supporting sponsor and a co-chair. And first thing I'd like to do is thank Marlene, Tricia, and Ben Stockton, and all the members of the board for coming out and helping out, made our jobs a lot easier. It is my pleasure to introduce the speakers invited to showcase economic development trends and projects. Max Slusher is the Director of Business Development for Atlantic County Economic Alliance, the ACEA, a private nonprofit economic development office dedicated to improving Atlantic County economy. In this role, Max drives economic development efforts for Atlantic County by working with state, local, and federal business assistance and incentive programs, assisting businesses in commercial real estate selection, making introductions to business and government leaders, advising and guiding companies on regulatory and permitting matters, encouraging business to invest in Atlantic County, and marketing Atlantic County as a place to live, work, and do business. Please help me introduce Max Slusher, Atlantic County Economic Alliance.
Good morning. For the peoples of Atlantic County, welcome. Happy to have you here, and if I can be as bold, welcome to Stockton University. I'm a proud alumni, class of '83, class of '84, and I was working on '85 when they packed me off and shipped me to grad school. So, but some of the best memories I've had. And I'm going to use some of my precious time to point out that South Jersey is still underrepresented in the number of seats that we have available here in the state of New Jersey relative to our population. Central Jersey and North Jersey are still significantly behind us in the number of access seats that they have in the community college and senior institutions. And regardless of all the great strides that have been made at Stockton, Welland, and Rutgers, Camden, and the community colleges, we need to continue to work on that. And I want to point out the state of New Jersey, we still ship almost half of our high school students out of state to other universities. It's the highest in the nation, and if you think about it, we spend $250,000 on each one of those students from preschool to 12th grade, and that CapEx is just leaking away. Once they go out of state, they get married, they do their internships there, we don't see most of them again. So we need to continue to work on that. My compliments to the higher education sector. I'm going to go through this quickly. I'm not going to read the PowerPoints to you and drive you through the roof on that. Just to point out some things, The South Jersey Transportation Authority did put out an RFP for 400 acres on the northwest edge of the airport. That used to be a bird sanctuary. Yes, at an airport, if you go see Top Gun, they show a bird strike. Luckily, the little sparrows we had out there were not as dangerous, but most of them ended up as pate. Working with the South Jersey Transportation Authority, the Board of Commissioners of Atlantic County, and our organization, we got that moved away from the airport and up the Atlantic City Expressway, and now we are bidding out that property, hopefully for air cargo or maintenance, repair, and overhaul, or any of the ancillary uses of the airport that could manifest themselves. So this is a big one. The packages had to be back in May 11th. I am personally working with one of the applicants. I've been working with them for 3 years, major airport and aviation developer out of California. So we're hoping that eventually the SJTA will release what the results of that RFP are. Reconfiguration of Cardiff Commercial Center. This has been required for a long time. Talking about the old Shore Mall. Now Boscov's is the primary tenant. Across is used to be the Pathmark Supermarket. There's a private school there now, sometimes referred to as the Pagano site. You can only make a right out of the latter and a right out of the latter and a right out of the former. We would like to move the traffic light to the west, where we can let both properties have in and out turns both ways, and of course cross-purposing across the properties. This is taken off. The Department of Community Affairs has completed the redevelopment plan on this particular project, and we think we've identified the money for the soft costs. So this one is moving forward. And by the way, I'm not going to point out that this is all pie in the sky, but just to say these are the projects that we think we've identified, Build Back Better money and recovery monies to move these projects forward. There's at least a dozen others that we haven't been able to prioritize yet that we're working on, and maybe in the next round, 5 or 6 years from now, we can manifest them. Building at the National Aviation Research and Technology Park. The first building's been up. It's been full for the last 2 years. We're working on Project 2. That building is being paid for via Opportunity Zone money in a consortium of developers. They received a $3 million grant from USEDA to help push that project forward. Additionally, Building 3, we believe that we have a very large and significant federal entity who's going to sponsor the whole building. So the second building has most of its permits. Building 3, we're just starting to work on all the approvals. Proposed Pomona train station. Lots been going on about the proposed Pomona train station. The developer that was working on this project had to back out of the project, but we've recently had some inroads with federal government and with the New Jersey Department of Transportation. It looks like that this is back up on the board, and there's money being allocated to move this project forward. Aviation and Training Academy of the Future. We have monies, we believe, set aside at this point, haven't been announced yet. That should be the down payment on this, but be able to train maintenance, repair, and overhaul technicians for the growing aviation industry in New Jersey and the United States. Right now, the average age of aviation technicians is 58. Most of them will be retiring in the next 5 years, and there will be a dearth of these peoples to be able to keep the aircraft, all commercial aircraft, in the sky. So we're hoping that we can get that moved forward in the next year. And then finally, and this is probably the most, tried to say pie in the sky of all of them, is the advanced aerial mobility and unmanned crew systems. We have been working with the National Institute of Aeronautics. We are now on our 4th cohort accelerator of small firms that work in these industries, UAVs and so forth. We believe that we are going to be executing, if not this year, next year, the high-tech entrepreneurial center in Atlantic City and a workforce training center that's going to be focusing on this particular area. And we do have peoples that we've brought in nationally and internationally. There are small startup firms in this realm that are starting to come here and open up offices. So we're looking forward to this to be probably the one on the outside of the projects I've just given you, but the one that's probably got the greatest legs in the long run. And that's it. Lauren Moore is the president of the Atlantic County Economic Alliance, a very progressive and insightful leader. Noel McGuire, who's the gentleman right in the middle, he is our aviation person. He does what I do, but inside the fence. And then the other people on our staff, which is our office manager, Francine, and Mary Ann, who is our accountant. So we're very small, but we stay nimble, go fast, look for grants, and basically work with the private sector to acquire whatever monies we can. Thank you very much.
Up next, we have Joe Molino, managed the economic development activities for Cape May County. He has served as the founder and primary consultant of BizMX LLC, as well as the former director of the Small Business Development Center at Stockton University, serving Cape May and Atlantic and Cumberland counties. Along with economic development, Joe is a business writer whose columns Business Currents and Business Beats reached over 100,000 readers each week. Joe is the creator, executive producer, and host of South Jersey Business with Joe Molino, airing weekly on Comcast, and created and produced and hosted weekly business radio programs including Business Beats Radio, a commercial radio, and M4 Small Biz Radio on WLFR 91.7 FM at Stockton University. Please let me welcome Joe Molino.
Did my crazy run up here. That's my old man run. All right, so 10, 19, 15, yeah, we're really messed up one time, the three of us, but we'll be fun. I'm Joe Molino. I just want to say thank you to the group for allowing me to speak, Southern New Jersey Development Council, as well as the Construction Forecast Committee. I work and I manage the Economic Development Program for Cape May County under the Planning Department led by Leslie Gimeno and our County Commissioner Liaison Will Morey. I'm going to take 1 second to talk about Stockton. Everything I have today I owe to Stockton. I was a graduate in 1990. Stockton provided me not only the education that I had, but the work opportunity after I left and came back. Opposite of what Max just said, I did actually come back to the school and work, and I got to be here for 15 years. And those relationships still serve me. The television show that we produce is designed to enhance the students' communications and the Department of Communications to build the skills they need for the future. So I'm happy to do that. And if anybody wants a guest spot, let me know, because it's South Jersey Business, so it covers everybody. Okay, real quick, what are we doing? Going forward here? Is that right? Yeah. All right, back. Okay, there we go. All right. So I'm going to be as brief as I can. The Cape May County Airport seems to be the area that we're focusing on most right now. It's the home to Cape May Brewery. You might have been down there, an aviation museum. We have a public safety building. Flight Deck Diner is great. There's been millions of dollars worth of investment and improvements in the infrastructure in recent years, and it's been financed by Cape May County itself, Delaware River Bay Authority, and some USDA grants. I do want to say every project that we have listed will be in that program book that you'll get emailed to you, so I won't go through every one. But I did want to talk about some important things. One set of buildings that we have is called the Tech Hangars, and one of the jobs that I first got when I had the opportunity to work with the county was to fill those buildings. I'm happy to announce that those buildings are filled, and we're on to number 2, which is the airport and the Tech Hangars Phase 2. We are now leasing. It's going to be a smaller building. The original building was 3 of those barrels and 2 connectors. This is going to be 2 connectors, about 16,000 square feet. The connectors are great. They allow for a smaller business to locate there while you still have larger entities there. Currently, the 3 companies that are there are Cellular Tracking. They're selling their tracking and smart technology products on all the continents of the globe. DTEC does some single service box usage for libraries and things, and Adacel does regenerative medicine. So we're looking for more companies. We've had great interest so far, and we're going to continue to do that. These are some slides that won't take a lot of time. This is just what we do: business support, business development, business attraction, business recovery, and then business resilience, and that's important after what we just faced. By the way, I did have a great speed joke that I was going to use, but the clock is broken, so I really can't use that. But I know I have to keep it at 55 miles an hour, which I'll do my best. The problem is I usually operate a little faster than that, so I really have to slow it down. So I'm sorry if I'm going faster. Okay. This is important because this plan that we have just finished up was funded by South Jersey Economic Development District. Lou Joyce is here from the district. He was a catalyst in helping us get the money to fund this. We did data collection analysis and created recommendations all around the recovery and resiliency effort. The reason that's important to talk about it today is when that plan is released, you will see recommendations that will lead to more investment and more development within our county. So stay tuned for that. We'll be happy to share it with the group when it's finished and ready for full publication, but it will create a stronger economy. Creative placemaking and public art program. We take this very seriously in Cape May County, and the reason I bring it up is because what we do is we leverage municipal dollars by investing millions of dollars of our open space funds to help those projects go. You will see in the list that you get of the projects that we're working with different communities, and that provides opportunities for each of you and your businesses to get more involved, not only at a municipal level, but with funding that comes from the county. It's important to leverage those dollars. How are we doing on time? Oh, 2 minutes, that's all right. All right, we're going to be okay. All right, I talked about this last time I had a chance to talk to the group. This is something that's very exciting. It's a mixed-use building in Rio Grande. It's called the County Commons Redevelopment Project. And in the fall of this year, we will open up something called, through the square, it's called Cape Square, and it's going to open up a movie theater, bowling alley, arcade, restaurant, bar, and beer garden. And the reason why that's important is because it'll complement what happens on the islands, and it'll draw people more into the mainland, which will help to create more opportunities within the organization. All right, 1 minute. This is pretty good. All right, this is me, Joe Marlino down at the bottom. I'll finish with this, I guess, and I'll give a little bit of time back. Everybody wants a friend at the shore, right, with a place at the shore. Well, if you copy down my information, you'll have a friend at the shore, and you call me anytime. I'll show you plenty of places. And I want to thank everybody for allowing me to do this, and I can't believe we made it on time.
Up next, we have Jerry Velasquez, the Camden County, or Cumberland County Improvement Authority, also known as the Authority. As President and CEO of Cumberland County Improvement Authority, Jerry Velasquez leads all development and redevelopment initiatives and coordinates overall economic development and strategy for Cumberland County. He's responsible for the organization's financial management, project coordination, personnel, daily operations, and oversight. Jerry is currently coordinating more than $100 million in project constructions on behalf of the authority, including projects for Cumberland, Cape May, and Salem counties. He's also responsible for all aspects of the Improvement Authority's landfill operations. Please welcome Jerry.
So not Camden County, Cumberland County. All right. Clicker. No clicker, not that clicker. This clicker. Gotcha. Got to get rid of this. There we go. One of the things that, so first of all, thanks for coming out. Thanks for giving me the opportunity. The authority's been pretty much, over the last 5 years, we've been responsible for about $100 million a year in development, direct development that the authority's taken on. One of the things that we did, my banker's here, so how do I say this? We took a risk on a building, anticipating that it would develop new opportunities for the community, which it has. Unfortunately, from a dollars and cents perspective, it hasn't gone exactly the way we wanted, but from a business development perspective, it's done exactly what we wanted. We have a business in here that's growing, that just sold out its product in 1 hour and 3 minutes, and is moving from a wholesale to a retail division. We are expanding already in this building, and really it's done exactly what we wanted to do. It's plant-based, and we're moving in the right direction in Cumberland County with regard to plant-based and food. And private sector industrial expansions have exponentially increased in Cumberland County, so it's about 175. River Ignati has built a facility. They're going to put their headquarters in Cumberland County. Northeast Precast has its headquarters in Cumberland County. Oatly has its headquarters in Cumberland County. Cumberland Dairy's been with us for a long time, and Comar Glass is here. Corning is in Cumberland County. So a lot of private development. For those of you who are out there, in addition to me coming up here and telling you about what the authority's doing, you need to start kicking the tires in Cumberland County. There's a lot of development happening. Unlike Atlantic County, Cape May County, our economic development, our economic resources and viability focuses around freezer space, storage space, food distribution, and the things that really grew as COVID came to us in our county. So we did not get impacted the same way that our neighbors did, and as a function of that, have really grown along with Salem County, which you'll be hearing about later. Film is a big deal for us. We have several film producers, productions scouting around on a regular basis. We built the mill building, mechatronics building at the campus, and so there's drone technology, data center technology, a lot of different types of things that we're doing now to expand the economy and the types of things that we're doing in Cumberland County. Some of our projects, mentioned before, Railroad Medicine, that is, we had a little glitch with the bids, so bids are being rescinded, but they will be out shortly in the next week or so. We expect to make an award in July, get that project moving forward, and have folks in that building in 2023. We want to move that along. Fire department for a fire building, fire station for the city of Bridgeton. We're going to build that. City of Vineland's working on a fire station, just improved bids for demolition of the site where that facility's going. Public library, we're doing some things. The authority actually manages the campus, the Rowan South Jersey campus, so there's probably $5 to $10 million in redevelopment and renovations that are happening on that campus as well. Another thing that we do a little different, we operate our landfill, so we probably have $5 to $10 million in upgrades, enhancements that are being done at the landfill over the next 6 to 12 months. Cannabis is a big deal, so we purchased about 350,000 square feet of warehouse space, office space. We renovated the office space, and we just recently sold 250,000 square feet of a warehouse to Columbia Care, which is recently the largest cannabis company in the country. They're using that as a grow facility. We have 5 or 6 additional cannabis companies that are coming. Along with the cannabis comes infrastructure needs, heavy electric users, 20, 30, 40 megawatts. The need for solar, the need for alternative energy. We're doing our own solar projects, 2 large solar projects in Cumberland County. So around alternative energy, around cannabis, big growth. Again, private sector, come on down to Cumberland, there's a lot happening. And I was warned not to go over my time, and I didn't, so there you have it.
Next up, we have Sandra Lazaro, the Division Director of Business Development and Tourism for the County of Ocean. Sandra leads the efforts with the Board Commissioners, the tourism industry, and overlooks economic development by strengthening existing businesses and growing new ones in all of the 33 municipalities that comprise Ocean County. She's also the Executive Director of the Tourism and Advisory Council for Ocean County. Please welcome Sandra Lazaro.
Good morning. I promise I will keep it short and sweet. Thank you for the introduction, and thank you for having me. And Marlene and Tricia, thank you for all your help with preparing for this. it's great to be in another county. It's great to come south instead of me being in the northern part, always going north. As I had mentioned, I promised to keep this short and sweet. Like mentioned, Ocean County is comprised of 33 municipalities. When we think of Ocean County, we think of the beautiful 44 miles of the Jersey Shore and the 42 miles of the Barnegat Bay. However, Ocean County has 33 municipalities. We have a very large county. We have the western part of our county, which is comprised of beautiful farms. We have Six Flags on that side, our new development, Ventura Crossings as well on the western side of the county. And we have the southern part of the county, which many of you, when you think the southern part of Ocean County, LBI. Through the leadership of our Board of Directors, who have a great investment in Ocean County and the growth of Ocean County, we have seen an influx of population in the county. So with that, we have growth. So what I decided to do today was just provide slides that show you the opportunities and also just direct you where to go on the website so that you're able to, in the procurement, to get the alerts, the notification, and the process. We have transitioned now electronically into the procurement. Okay, so with a broken arm and without my glasses, let's see, I brought the wrong glasses. Okay, so these slides were prepared by our planning department. So I'm just going to highlight a few of our projects because we have an estimated about $295 million in projects. So I will just go over quickly some of the highlights. These are the anticipated projects directly from the county's budget. It is a 6-year capital plan from 2022 through 2027. These projects are proposed for the budget year and beyond. One of the major projects that I am going to highlight is 22-8, which is the reconstruction and resurfacing of certain county roads, along with two of the bridges in Manchester Township. And that is about, well, as you can see, over a $12 million project that is estimated for the year, for the 2022 year. So as you can see, engineering has numerous projects. They have a lot going on. John Ernst and his team does a fantastic job of keeping all of that in check. My division is business development and tourism. I rely heavily on actually all of my departments in the county. I like to refer to myself as the compass navigator of the county, working closely with our Board of Commissioners. My direct liaison is Commissioner Vicari. Subtotal, if you take a look, as I mentioned before, engineering has a lot going on, estimated about $233 million in projects. Building and grounds, library. We have a very robust library system, probably one of the largest library systems in the state. We are extremely proud of new construction in Stafford. We are building from ground up a brand new library. So that is estimated at over $11 million, and I believe to 2 meetings prior, there was a resolution for that. And also ongoing are renovations and upgrades to all of our library facilities. Parks, we are very committed to our parks through the leadership of Commissioner Haynes. We have 27 parks and 2 golf courses in Ocean County. We do have some estimated, we do have some projected projects as well. Our county college, we are very committed to. We have a project there as well. And the last one that I wanted to talk to you about is Ocean County Vocational Technical School. We are expanding the Jackson campus. So that is estimated a $10 million project, and also in our Brick location, we are renovating. COVID has really had a lot of students rethink their pathway into careers, and trade schools have been very attractive to students. So overall, as I mentioned before, over the course of the 6 years, we have projects budgeting in close to $295 million. You can go to the county website, the government website. If you go to purchasing, you all know how to locate the procurement. We were able to get notifications and alert. And I cannot not say anything about tourism, because that's one of my big babies in Ocean County. It is our economic engine of the county. So if you are up in my end of the county, please reach out to my department if you want any ideas or anything. Ocean County has a lot to offer. Please come and visit our county. We welcome you all. Thank you.
Good morning, all. Well, I'm not John Brizzacelli, as I think you could see. John's actually working with M. Night Shyamalan on a new production being filmed in Burlington County. And I can tell you the name of it, so you'll be on the lookout. It's called Knock at the Cabin Door, and it's a full-feature movie. He was unexpectedly rearranged this morning, so you have me. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Maria Santa. I'm with the Southern New Jersey Development Council. It's a pleasure to be with you this morning. The committee that put this together, which includes, of course, staff members, Tricia, Ben, and I think Rose out front, have done a superb job, and we thank them. I certainly thank them for that. So let's begin with what we'd like to say around the office when we go to New Jersey Import. It's every day, all day. It's a huge project. We're so excited about it. And we have just the people here today that you want to hear from and talk to after the program. I'd like to invite to join us up here is Jonathan Kennedy from New Jersey, Illinois, Jeremy Hess from AEW, Gareth Middleton from AE Competition, Commissioner Ed Ramsey from Salem County. So if you would take your seats. So Jonathan, if you would be first. Jeremy second, Gareth third, and the commissioner would be guess, fourth banner cleanup. How about that? So, let's begin with an overview of New Jersey EVA's project called New Jersey Windport. I'll talk about Jonathan for a moment, but he will also lead you through some interesting slides. Jonathan leads the infrastructure development for New Jersey EVA, including serving as the project executive for the New Jersey Windport, the nation's first purpose-built offshore windport, which the New Jersey EVA is delivering on behalf of the state of New Jersey. He also serves on the New Jersey Treasury's P3 Review Committee, and prior to joining New Jersey EVA, Jonathan served as an advisor to governments and multilateral organizations on infrastructure policy and project delivery, specializing in P3s and asset privatization. So with that, Jonathan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Molly, and I presume this is working. Folks can hear me okay. Thank you firstly to the SNJDC and to Molly in particular for the invitation to be here. I want to start, we'll talk about the kind of the what, but I want to start by kind of explaining the why. Specifically, the context, the economics, the business case that underpins this project. Because I think it's an exciting one, and no doubt you hear about wind all the time. There's a reason. We talk about it a lot. We're very excited by it, and I think you should be also. This slide kind of summarises, what's happening out there in offshore wind. So we are looking at 40 gigawatts of committed and planned offshore wind activity from Maine to the Carolinas. That's kind of committed and planned. I think the potential pipeline is many multiples of that. That translates into about $140 billion of CapEx. Somewhere in the region of 85 to 100,000 jobs. These things are, of course, somewhat academic, but a lot of capital, a lot of jobs. Fortuitously for New Jersey, we're kind of right in the eye of the storm. Right? We're geographically located at the centre of this backbone of wind farms off the mid-Atlantic and East Coast. And I think folks should be excited by the fact that this isn't just a one and done type industry, right, where you're just building a project and there's some construction stimulus. Really the play here for New Jersey, I think for the US, is to grow that supply chain. And by that we mean everything from cables to tier 1 to tier 2 to tier 3 components, etc. The size of the US offshore wind market is sufficient to get localization of content. Right now it's coming from Europe. I think it's big enough here, the market is big enough for that to localize here rather than to come from Europe. And in fact what we're seeing is that localization is accelerating beyond anyone's expectations, and there's a few drivers for that. One, I think the pipeline has grown quicker than we perhaps previously anticipated. Secondly, and probably perhaps more importantly, Europe's own pipeline has grown, and that has soaked up a lot of the existing capacity in Europe and the factories, the nacelles, the blades factories. So really those, to deliver the US pipeline, we're going to have to localize, we're going to have to grow a supply chain in the US. We can no longer rely, I think, on Europe. I think we're going to have to grow our own industry, which is a great thing, our own supply chain. And just to put that in perspective, Europe has 25 gigawatts of installed capacity as of today. Their target is 300 gigawatts by 2050. So that's how big the industry is in Europe. And again, everything there is geared towards servicing that pipeline. So huge opportunity, I guess, is the summary for the US. Again, not just construction, but the supply chain. As mentioned, we couldn't be better located, a bit like kind of property, location. New Jersey's right in the middle, so, it kind of speaks for itself. We can service from the Windport 50% of all lease areas that are currently planned and committed within 1 day's steaming distance. So that's very important when it comes to logistics costs, and logistics costs are everything in offshore wind. So that's the kind of the why. This is kind of the what, and Gareth will talk more to the specifics of the construction. This is a greenfield port. located, of course, in Lower Elwes Creek, Salem County. It's the first of its kind in the US. So there are a number of ports, existing ports right now on the East Coast that are being redeveloped to accommodate offshore wind. This is the only brand new port that's being developed in the US for offshore wind. It's purpose-built for offshore wind. Again, it's not a port that does container freight or conventional break bulk and wind. It just does wind. So it's being designed, built, and operated just for offshore wind. So it's purpose-built. It's about 200 acres in total. Acreage is very important because what it allows is co-location of marshalling and manufacturing. So you can effectively manufacture your nacelle, wheel it via an SPMT out the factory gates and onto a vessel. So, you're not double handling. There's significant cost savings for industry in being able to co-locate manufacturing and marshalling. That, of course, translates into benefits for ratepayers because, there's lower energy costs. So it's a win for ratepayers, it's a win for industry because you've got manufacturing jobs. So that's the distinction really with this port and other ports you'll hear about, is that, again, it's a marshalling port. That's the process that turbines get assembled and floated out vertically. And those ports have to be ocean-side of bridges because of the height restrictions. These things are the height of the Eiffel Tower when they're assembled. But it's also got that size to enable co-located manufacturing. Very few ports, with the exception perhaps of Virginia, on the East Coast have that acreage to do that co-location. So, speaks to that point in a bit more detail. We'll take you down a few thousand feet. This is the overall concept for the port. The blue areas are under construction under Gareth and AECOM Tishman's stewardship. Parcel A is underway. Core construction commenced in January. We had a groundbreaking in September last year. We want Parcel A completed and up and running Q2 2024. So, and you can all log on, and Gareth can talk to this, and monitor progress in real time via our EarthCam. And then the yellow is phase 2. That's the expansion of the port that will come. This is all land owned by PSEG that we're either leasing or purchasing from PSEG. Phase 1, we've secured close to $500 million of public funds, and we're still resolving, the optimal way to fund and finance phase 2. Just a little bit more detail on kind of the opportunity. Again, I won't go into the key trades and the numbers. I'll just say that this is an opportunity for near-term economic stimulus through construction, but really the play here is the long-term jobs, right? We want permanent jobs in Salem County, in the region. That comes with manufacturing. To that end, we announced in April that we'd executed an agreement with Ørsted for that ocean wind project. So when Ørsted was awarded New Jersey's first offshore wind solicitation through BPU, it committed to use an interstate port because there wasn't an option in New Jersey. They have since pivoted to commit to using the wind port, and I think that's a big tick of confidence, right? They didn't have to change their plan. They opted to change their plan because they thought the wind port was a strong value proposition. That will create about 200 jobs that would otherwise have gone to other states. And we'll have more announcements to make this calendar year in terms of other developers and manufacturers. I can't name names, but we're talking with multiple parties right now, and we'll be announcing additional tenants in due course. Just on the construction, Gareth will talk more to this, but we want to localise as many of the construction dollars as we can, and I think we're doing a good job so far in that regard. Over 50% of construction dollars, and by that we mean kind of trades and subcontracts and general conditions subcontractors, have stayed in the region. They've stayed in southern New Jersey. A large chunk of that has stayed in Salem County, and equally and very importantly, on the diversity and inclusion goals, we're currently about 50%. Our target for the project is 15%. Of course, we want to do better than the target, 50%. We want to kind of maintain and continuously improve on that. And that will be an ongoing principle, diversity and inclusion, not just in construction, but all the way through this port's life in the operational phase. Of course, it's one thing creating the jobs, it's another thing having the skills and the labour pool to fill them. So there's a host of work underway in partnership with educational institutions, including right here in southern New Jersey, to make sure that we have the skills we need when this industry really takes off. And that's That's me done, Marlene. Thank you.
Well, that was a great overview, and I must say that being a part of this effort with EDA and with AE competition, I think I know a lot, but I always learn so much more when I listen to Jonathan, and certainly Gareth and I are talking quite a bit, and I'm really now anxious to hear what EEW is doing, because they are definitely part of this team process. Jeremy Hess comes to us as the manufacturing engineer manager for EEW-AOS. He has over 15 years of engineering experience in manufacturing with a focus on lean manufacturing implementation and capital equipment design and installation. Jeremy was recently a lead engineer responsible for designing, procuring, installing, and commissioning manufacturing equipment for a new state-of-the-art heavy steel fabrication facility in Camden. Jeremy has a bachelor's degree in industrial manufacturing engineering from Indiana Institute of Technology, as well as a Six Sigma Black Belt certification from Purdue University. Let's welcome Jeremy.
Thank you. I just want to start off by our CEO, Lee Lavendo, couldn't be here today. He sends his regards, but he is instrumental in this project as well. But hopefully I can give you a good overview of what we're doing at EEW, American Offshore Structures. So a little bit of company history. EEW is a German-based heavy pipe manufacturer that started doing offshore oil and gas pipe and then migrated to offshore wind. They have facilities, 2 facilities in Germany, one of which in Rostock makes offshore wind monopiles. So when we are now migrating to the U.S. and setting up a heavy monopile fabrication facility at the Port of Paulsboro in New Jersey. So on the screen there you'll see a rendering of our fabrication facilities. It's 6 total buildings in 2 phases, split into 2 phases of construction. So the buildings are plate fabricating building, a roll bending building, and then 2 circumferential welding buildings, as well as 2 paint and blast facilities. So we'll be able to go all the way from raw plate, straight from a steel mill, to a fully finished and painted monopile ready to be loaded and installed offshore. So our location at the Port of Paulsboro, similar to what the EDA said about the wind port, centrally located within the East Coast, we were able to service up and down the eastern seaboard all the same offshore sites, offshore wind sites, as the EDA outlined in their presentation as well. Again, one of the highlights of, picking South Jersey as the place for our fabrication is its central location. So our manufacturing capabilities, so monopile dimensions, 40 feet in diameter, 400 feet long, up to 2,500 tons, which is about 5 million pounds. And our goal is 150,000 metric tons per year, which equates to about an average of 100 monopiles, depending obviously on the weight. And then at the Port of Paulsboro, 350,000 square meter land lease, about 80 acres. The heavy wharf, deep water port is already there. We're working on dredging that part of the Delaware River to accommodate our heavy deck carrier vessels for railroad operations, and again, like I said, central U.S. projects. So you can kind of get an idea there, the pictures of the size of these monopiles. So very large, very heavy steel fabrication. So phase 1 construction is what you see there. It's 2 buildings. These are currently under construction. We'll get into some current construction pictures in the next slides. So it's what we're calling the Circle building, which is a final assembly building, where we'll be taking sections of monopile that we'll get from our sister facility in Rostock, and then connecting them and completing the final welding, as well as all the final inspections, and then 1 paint and blast facility where we'll be able to apply corrosion protection to the monopile, and then obviously storage of monopiles for
the offshore wind, and we'll be able to perform our load out via our row berth on the port. So, and then those monopiles will be marshaled or barged directly out to the installation site offshore. So there's the circular building you see. The doorway there is about a 50-foot by 50-foot doorway. You can see office extensions there as well to support engineering, logistics, project management, procurement, all the various industries that would need to be present for the manufacturing. And then there's the current construction, and this is, again, probably like other pictures, about 3 weeks old. So we're completely weather tight in the building. All the HVAC is installed, doors are installed. We're actually installing equipment as we speak. And we're working our final punch list for our certificate of occupancy for the building. So our team will be moving in shortly to start operating out of that facility. And just a bigger overview, you can see the paint and glass facility to the left of the circular building there is under steel erection, and that's complete now. The roof is on, and the outside skins are being installed as we speak. It's probably about 75–80% done now, and we're moving to rough mechanical, electrical, plumbing installation. And you can see the site is fairly well graded. Our paving contractor is about ready to mobilize, and we'll start paving the site as well in the next few weeks. Inside the circular building, you see a rendering of the type of equipment we're going to have. Large overhead submerged arc welders along with large turning rolls. So you can kind of see the scale of the little people there at the bottom. So the turning rolls are fairly as large as a person is. So this is the equipment that's currently being installed in the facility. So we will be performing 2 circular welds in this, like I said, final assembly, and completing all the necessary final inspections on the monopile. So, and then the schedule there, like I said, building weather tight, all the building is done, equipment installs is in process. We did receive our first test monopile in April from our Rostock facility, so that's on store in the U.S. and ready to start testing the weld equipment. There you can see some of the large heavy rail that's going to be in the facility to support not only the welding equipment but also the monopile. Some overhead bridge crane there you see delivery of the large welding towers to be erected. There's the heavy frames for the turning rolls. You can see some of the roller blocks and various motors and other parts. And like I said, if you walked in there now, all this is now assembled onto the machines. The machines are on the rail, the tower is up and erected in the platform, and we're just doing final electrical fit out. And our PLC programmer from our equipment vendor is coming over next week to start programming and test firing the machine. So the coating building, there you see a rendering. It's a 2-bay building, so we'll be able to be fabricating 2 monopiles at the same time. And there's the building, like you say, the outside skins are going on. Again, 2 big 50-foot by 50-foot doors on the front. So transportation, how we move monopiles around the facility, we'll be using, similar to what the EDA said at the Windport, self-propelled modular vehicles, or SPMTs. So we have our first fleet arrived in Paulsboro. We had our German operators come over, commission the machines. We use them to unload our test monopile, so they're completely operational and ready to receive components for the Ocean Wind 1 project. So, and like you see there, dredging is slated to begin in July. Site paving is slated to begin in the next couple weeks. And we said SPMT, our first lot is already on site. We have 2 more lots to do our full fleet coming by the end of the summer. So, I think that link doesn't work. Yeah. So, but that was just a movie of our fabrication process. But there you can see we're also working on workforce development. So there's a picture of our very first welder hired in New Jersey. That's in Germany, at our German facility. He spent 4 weeks over there training. He is now fully qualified to perform welds in the States for these monopiles. So it was a big milestone for us to achieve that, and the welding equipment that he worked on over there is very identical to what we're doing here in the U.S. So local training programs,
like the EDA highlighted as well, we need to build up a workforce of skilled labor in order to support the jobs that we're going to be providing. So we teamed up with Gloucester County Institute of Technology. We worked with Lincoln Electric to provide them with a sub-arc welding machine. Most of these technical colleges don't have sub-arc welding. It's a unique kind of welding process, and the equipment tends to be fairly large, and it's not something that lends itself to a school, but we were able to work on that and also develop a training curriculum for them to start training welders in sub-arc. And we're doing the same thing with the coating. Offshore coating is very complex. It takes a lot to make sure the corrosion protection lasts out in the harsh environment offshore. So we're again securing equipment, working with the tech schools to be able to start these training programs. And then we're also going to have local job fairs in Paulsboro to then highlight these training programs and be able to, there's just a video of our German facility.
American Offshore Structures will be the leading provider of wind turbine monopiles in the U.S. Our newly built 70-acre facility in Paulsboro, New Jersey is nearly ready for production.
The building that we're standing in will be the final assembly hall for the monopiles. This entire building is constructed to hold just 2 monopiles. That's how big they are.
Between its 4 and 6 buildings, this facility will be able to complete all stages of monopile production, from importing raw materials to the welding of the steel pillars. The CERT weld building is in its final stages of construction and will house state-of-the-art welding equipment.
So we will be getting the first parts of the monopile later this year, and we will be starting production toward the end of 2022.
Our facility is in the prime location to transport monopiles to offshore wind farms up and down the East Coast. EEW AOS is the backbone of the largest industrial offshore wind investment in the United States, which will create hundreds of high-paying jobs.
For the balance of this year, after we complete this factory, we're going to continue hiring and training our work staff, and then we will begin production on a limited level, and we'll eventually ramp up into full production here at the facility.
We are working in coordination with local New Jersey technical schools and colleges to offer students training opportunities to help fill the nearly 500 job openings at the facility. In our final stages of construction, we are looking to strengthen our supply chain and take some new suppliers on board. We are excited to work closely with our partners, local schools, and local businesses in our effort to help create clean energy. EEW AOS, welcome to our world.
So I know I'm over on time. I will make this real quick. Phase 2 is the additional 4 buildings slated to begin construction, breaking ground towards the end of the summer this year on that. So there's a lot more construction going on at our site. Again, the 4 buildings there. And that's the end of my slide, so thank you.
Well, thank you, and if you think that's exciting, there's more. Gareth is going to talk to us about what's happening at Lower Eloise Creek. I'll tell you a little bit about Gareth. He brings more than 33 years of experience in the construction industry to each project. He is an experienced civil engineer specializing in facilities engineering and project management. In his current role as the Transportation and Infrastructure Market Services Senior Vice President, Gareth provides leadership, management, profitability, and expansion of the AECOM Tishman's Program Management Construction and Management Service. He ensures that business plans, goals, and policies support established company-wide goals, prepares the budget for the Transportation and Infrastructure Service line, institutes and recommends corrective actions where necessary, and ensures revenue and profitability objectives are being met on a consistent basis. No easy task. Let's welcome Gareth.
Thank you, Marlene, and thank you to the council for this invitation for AECOM Tishman to participate. Just want to recognize a couple members of our team, Randy Dolliver and Rosanna Caputo over there, and my other colleague, John Phillips from AECOM Buildings and Places was here earlier today. One very important member of our team, Flora Ramos, our Director of Community Outreach, is under the weather, and she couldn't join us today, but we're wishing her a speedy recovery and wish she could be with us. And to that end, if I can get this going, this is a photo of the groundbreaking that Jonathan spoke about last September with a cast of what seemed like hundreds down there. There was a lot, but it was very well represented by the governor, the heads of labor, and the labor secretary from the United States government. So it was a great day. There's Flora introducing the governor, and again, we really miss her dearly, but she'll be back in the saddle soon enough. And then this project is being constructed with 100% union labor through a PLA signed by Tishman, AECOM Tishman, and the Southern New Jersey Building Trades. That's Dan Costner on the left from the Building Trades, and our Alan Paul out of our New York office executing the agreement on that same day, September 9th. So it was a good day all around, and I'll skip the Tishman information in the interest of time, but we've been in New Jersey for almost 50 years now and have done a significant amount of work in the southern part of the state, largely around the Atlantic City area, but this is, as with a lot of people in this room, the first foray into the offshore wind business. We were hired by the EDA in July of last year to execute this project under a CMAR, or a Construction Management at Risk approach for this project, the first phase of this project. And thanks to Marlene and the team, there's actually an article on CMAR in here. It's sort of our bread and butter as a building contractor. But as a civil engineer graduating from NJIT 30 so years ago, this is the first true civil project I've had to do. All of our projects involve some civil engineering and underground and everything, but this is really exciting for me as a civil engineer and a licensed civil engineer, so it's been that much more fun. But we use the CMAR methodology all the time. It's flexible, and I encourage you to read that article in there. It's a very flexible methodology used primarily in the vertical space and largely on the private sector space, but entities like the EDA and others are exploring this as a delivery method because it adds an extra element to the delivery method separate from the design build build space. So we're excited and we're happy and we're thankful that they engaged that process. So we're a construction manager at risk. We are holding contracts with several prime contractors. Some of these were on Jonathan's sheet before, but we have about 8 to 10 prime contracts awarded for the phase one of the project. As Jonathan mentioned, a good number of these are South Jersey firms and companies. Each of these companies has supporting subcontractors of their own. Some of them may be in this room, but we are very excited to get going. We're mobilized on the majority of these firms, McPhee being our last firm to be brought on board, and we are fully underway. And so I'm the how of the presentation. You were the what and the why, right? Or the why and the what, I'm the how, I guess. We also have a fully developed support team, also loaded with a lot of great local firms and a lot of W and MBEs. Stokes Creative Group, who's running the AV for this project, and has supported our team on the development of collateral and video for other things, is here, and they're on our team, along with Envision and Matrix, and of course, we won't want to leave the council out. Shout out to Jane Aselta, who was instrumental in getting the ball rolling for our relationship, and this was a true value-added service, we believe, and has paid dividends in the creation of some of these outreach events that are being held repeatedly for small and local businesses. So there's one next week. It's called Meet the Primes 2. You'll see the ads on LinkedIn and maybe direct marketing from the council, and that's a forum for small firms, any firms in that matter, to meet the primes and hear what they're procuring or what they intend to procure. I won't go through them all, but of course there's a large, I will mention one I left out, and I apologize.
Tony DiGneo from RPM. RPM is supporting our team as well. So thanks, Tony. Jonathan went over the port. I'm going to leave off the details, but it is being delivered in 2 phases. Phase 1A, which is what we've been doing to date, and you'll see some things coming up soon on that. Phase 1B, which would be some of the follow-on industry that would go in there and expansion to the east. And then ultimately Phase 2, which again, this is Jonathan and the EDA's program, but this is graphically where about those footprints are, all totaling 200 acres, Jonathan, or just thereabouts. So there's some crazy numbers there, right? And you're going to see there's 4 million linear feet of wick drains that are being installed to allow the moisture to come out of the soil deep below the ground when we put this 1 million cubic yards of earth on top of it. And 165,000 linear feet of concrete pile. Just the numbers are staggering, and the pictures, these don't do it justice. So just this is kind of a repeat of the images. This is a rendering on the right. If you come by a booth or the EDA's booth down the hall there, we actually have a virtual reality goggles set up where you can actually view this in 3D if there's time afterwards, and we hang around for a little while, come by and see it. It's pretty mind-blowing. Gives you sort of the context out of these images. So this is Lower Always Creek, where the plant or the Hope Creek and Salem nuclear generating plant are located. It appears in some of the sheets, but there's a visual where it is. It's far. Most of the people that work on my project say it's far. You think you're there and you're not quite there, and you make another right turn and you're still not quite there, but you eventually do get there. This is an area taken by Stokes, just to give you some context. That's what it looked like in mid to late April. It's just about 30 seconds, if I can have just a couple minutes here to show, but this is flying from south to north. The nuclear power plant is in the background. You're flying currently over what is known as Parcel A, or the marshalling port. And then this line that leads into to wild ground here is what's called CDF3. That's where all of the bar material is being extracted from to do the surcharge process. So the drone, it's the wick drain machine going over, and this was again a month ago. You can't imagine the amount of effort that's gone in. You'll see the results of that. And then further to the north in CDF3 is where we're bringing this initial 500,000 yards of sand down. So the good news is we're going to bring material in. You don't have to bring trucks on the road. A lot of work's being done from the water. So that's a bit of that. I hope this doesn't click again. Okay, so I'll step through this. This is the surcharge program in plan, showing how we're going to be loading the site. I think the pictures are better. This is a diagram showing how that material was sourced and managed. I'm going to skip through that. And that's a visual rendering. We started at elevation 12, and we're ending up at elevation 38, which is a relative number, but it is, from what I've been told, one of the largest embankments that's been placed in this manner, and will generate, at the end of the day, a bearing capacity of 3,000 pounds per square foot, which is equivalent to a light concrete mix. So it's set up to deal with these very heavy loads from that equipment that was being shown earlier. So here's the site on April 2nd. Those are the wick drains. I'm just going to take you through. This is Jonathan mentioned the earth cam. This is a time lapse showing, this is now mid-April, early May. South State and we got together, and we've been working double shifts. We work during the week, we work day and night, pushing up to 20,000 cubic yards of earth from that northern area down onto the site. And then we move to the eastern side, same thing, just a different viewpoint. That's the cooling tower on the right that you see there. And this is the geotextile fabric that's placed prior to loading the job. This gives you a little better indication. That wall on the right-hand side ultimately is about 9 to 10 feet high. And then this is another 20 feet on top. So this material will be placed, and will sit there for 150, we hope, days as the ground settles below. We'll then strip it off, move it to the north, and do it all over again, and then keep building. These are just some photos from the job with South State and their subs equipment. Those are the wick drains, 4 million linear feet. They're basically 3 feet on center. More of that. More pictures. This is the pile plan. I'm going to skip through that. This is just with note here. This is a pile being delivered, one of our first production piles. They're going to be 1,700 feet. They range from 1,700 of them. They range from 120 feet, or 100 and, help me out, Randy, 110, 120 feet to 140 feet maybe, something like that. 30 inches in diameter. They're brought in individually on trucks. Right now, the first batch is coming from Allentown, New Jersey, but there is a casting yard being furnished right now in Oldman's Creek, which is just north of the bridge, which will be delivering the marine piles, which are longer, and they'll all be delivered by barge and then loaded from the water. So we have another business that's Precast Systems and SBE in the state of New Jersey delivering the product, fabricating and delivering the product. And that is a result. This picture is a few days ago. Those are the first batch of land piles being driven. One of WSP's inspectors is quite good with the camera. She seems to get great shots when she does that. So we have a PLA, as I mentioned, MWBE, local contracting initiatives, and that's it for me. There you go, Ed.
But how exciting is that? This is our project. This is New Jersey's project, South Jersey's project, and we're going to talk about the impact that it will have in Salem County than Commissioner Ed Ramsey. Commissioner Ramsey is currently serving his first term on the Salem County Board of County Commissioners, where he currently oversees economic development and public works, and engages on the Economic Development Advisory Council, Shared Services Working Group, Workforce Investment Board, Veterans Advisory Board, Youth Services Commission, South Jersey Economic Development District. Professionally, Ed has been involved in real estate for 34 years, including sales, brokerage, landlord, tax liens, and private investment, and also proudly served. And thank you, Ed, for your service in the U.S. Air Force as a ground satellite navigation electronics technician. Ed, the floor is yours.
Thank you, and thank you for holding this forum. It's great to listen to what everybody else is doing and how far advanced you people are from us in Salem County. I'll be darned. What I want to do is talk about what the port means to Salem County, where we are right now, what we're expecting to see in the next 5 to 10 years, and what we would like to see over the long term. Currently, we're just seeing a tremendous amount of renewed interest in Salem County. Really, we're selected by default. Geographically, we're just the right spot to put this port, you know, we had no influence necessarily on that. But that has created a tremendous amount of interest in Salem County. Currently, we're the second poorest county in the state. We're home to the first and third most distressed municipalities, Salem City being one, a food desert, Penns Grove being the third most distressed, and that will soon be a food desert community. It's brought renewed interest in the Salem County Port. Salem County Port has been run by the South Jersey Port Corporation, but it has kind of always been a sister port. We run one boat a week that transports convenience store items to Bermuda and back, and that's been, for the most part, the extent of the port over probably 15, 20 years or more now. But because of this Wind Port initiative, South Jersey Port Corporation is currently undergoing 2 major projects, a $16 million rebuilding of the Salem Port Wharf and an extension of 50 feet to that port. Additionally, we've secured a $20 million grant to dredge the area immediately in front of that port. We're only an 18-foot draft port, and just turning these boats around is a great difficulty. So that $20 million dredging project will make just working in and around the wharf much safer and more efficient. We also have a couple private boat yards that are immediately right there. So it's a very small area to work within. Because of this effort, South Jersey Port Corporation and the SNJDC have been developing a study on the Salem City Port. It not only includes future improvements that would be required for the port to be a viable, it's kind of work as a sister port to the wind port in terms of accessory boats and uses and things of that nature. It also will be studying all the uplands around the port for future businesses, what's available, transportation port routes in and out of Salem City. Currently, as the piling trucks are finding, there's one route, one lane in either direction, and no shoulders. And additionally, one of the things that we find very interesting within the study is that they will be studying what businesses, off-site businesses of the port, will facilitate that port business. So, in other words, how that's going to help Salem City grow out from the port. We're also seeing expansion of our vocational technical school, thanks to EDA and in conjunction with the Gloucester County Institute of Technology. We're part of the submerged arc welding program, the monopole painting program. We're currently under a $2 million renovation, or I'm sorry, a building expansion to accommodate the welding, and we're also renovating a good section of the school to support the paint program. Other things we're finding right now is we are being part of the subcontract employment of the wind port. R.E. Pearson, being one of them, has been very instrumental in quite a bit of the site work down there. So that's kind of where we are right now. What we see in the next 5 or 10 years as a result of this point, let's see if I can work that. First of all, I want to pay tribute to my staff of 10 fingers for putting together this PowerPoint program. I think it far exceeds the other ones you've seen today. Not to mention it took me a week longer to do it. Okay, so for the next 5 to 10 years, our transportation routes, we're single lane. We're noticing that we have to have a more rigid transportation route to and from the port for trucking, commuting, and things that are other than just interstate access. So we have received a grant from the DOT to redo Acton Station Road, which is a link into the port. We're also working with EDA and DOT to replace a bridge, which is a primary access route into LAC. However, this bridge has been out of commission for 20 years and has been in a deteriorated condition for probably 30 or more. So all the traffic that goes to the current nuclear power plant and everything that will be working with the wind port runs through the small little Hancock village of LAC and comes right out of Salem City. So it's a very condensed area, and there's really no other way in or out at this point. So this truck route that we're working with, trying to put together would be an extremely great resource in terms of moving traffic in and out of this area. We're also anticipating these 1,700 pilings to basically wreak havoc on our roads. They're approximately gross weight with vehicle of 130,000 pounds, and they anticipate to come down through Pennsville, through Salem City, and into the port, roughly 6 a day, 6 days a week, and I'm guessing it's through November sometime or something?
Some this year and then the following year.
And okay, so some more. So some of our roads, we're going to have to probably do a little bit of repair work to hold up what's there now, but also once the project is done, we anticipate, in particular the Salem City Road Grooves Parkway, to be pretty much decimated by the time that's done. And that's okay. We see the piling movement as a priority. You can't build the port if you can't bring the pilings in. The pilings literally are the foundation of the port. So, you know, you just have to bear with that and grin it out. Another thing we'll see in the next 5 to 10 years is major investment of the wind port corporate businesses. Orsted has been named as a manufacturer down there. There are several more to come. It's not as far as everybody thinks. If you work it every day, it actually gets shorter. But we're looking forward to all those other folks coming in. A big shot in the arm is we'll be the redevelopment in Salem City. Salem City was created because of the port back in the 1600s. Its revitalization will be because of the port. So we're very thrilled to have not only EDA, but South Jersey Port Corporation with that renewed interest. We're looking to grow the port both for wind port terms and for import-export. We're going to anticipate many new businesses coming in because of that, influx of new residents. And I'm going to put a push out here right now because we want to be the home site of the Windport Institute. We've got the manufacturing. We have the ideal city to do that. Although we're not on the coast isn't necessarily where that needs to be, and we believe that would literally turn over the city of Salem. And EDA asked us earlier on how much of Salem City's for sale. I told them all of it. And literally, to some degree, that's a very accurate statement. Much of it can be, to use some farming terms, plowed under and reseeded. We would look forward to that. Salem City looks forward to it. So we believe that you have technically a very blank slate with the city of Salem. And because we're going to have these two major ports, the opportunity, we are a very hands-off regulatory county. We believe in people and commerce creates business, and it's facilitated by government. So we invite you in to see that, and we would we'll do everything in our part not to create a burden on you, but to allow you to create a business and move forward.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. That was wonderful information. I heard a bell, but it could just be in my head.
Sorry. Oh, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Well, in the interest of time, and we certainly did go overboard a little bit, we won't take any questions, but invite you to speak to our panelists before they take their leave for today. We also invite you to call our office with your questions. We know how to get these guys, and we talk to them daily. So if you have questions that we can help get answers for, we'll be happy to do that. But I think it's been a wonderful program. I'm going to invite the chairman of our board, Glenn DeVilla, to say a few closing remarks. And I want to personally thank our panel for participating with us this morning.
It's up to you. You want to stay? It's only going to be a minute. You want to stay? Yeah. Good. Let him stay up there. Good morning, everybody. My name is Glenn DeVilla. I am the chairman of the SNJDC. In my spare time, I am the president of Performance Marketing, a full-service marketing firm here in Atlantic County. We have offices here in Atlantic and in Cumberland County. First, we need to thank TD, Greg Carlisle, for their partnership in presenting this morning's program, and obviously decades worth of this program, and the Regional Economic Outlook, which was amazing and very eye-opening in what's happening here in South Jersey and around the country. And to our speakers, it is only with your support that we can continue to bring this interesting and informative content to our members. So thank you all. Our moderator, Mike Haggerty, and John Brizzicelli's stunt double, Marlena Celta. If you squint, you can almost see John. Looks just like him. Both of you did an excellent job this morning. Thank you for keeping the conversation moving. We're only a few minutes over, so thank you for your patience and hanging in there with us. And for our timekeeper, Tinkerbell, Chaz, Caramana, thank you very much for doing such a great job. I was afraid he was going to throw the bell there for a minute, but thanks for being patient with us. To what is our biggest planning committee, thank you very much. This is one of our most active committees. This committee takes this event very seriously, and you can see that's why this is such a great event, because they paid such great attention to the details. So thank you all, Dave and the rest of the team. Wonderful job. And the Development Council team, and you know who you are, Ben, Randy, and Tricia. Wonderful job, as always, in what we do in presenting a lot of information in a very short period. Also, thanks to our exhibitors, French and Perillo Associates, for sponsoring the construction forecast project and bid information collection. And thanks to our supporting sponsors, and we've got a list: AE Tishcom, Gareth Middleton, AP Construction, Kevin Castanola, Colliers Engineering, Dave Nicola, ELEC 825, Kate Gibbs, Greenman Peterson, Bill Carter, Greyhawk, Chaz Caramana, GZA Geo Environmental, John Oberer, Hutchinson Mechanical, Mike Hutchinson, Johnson Controls, Kevin Donahue, Orsted, John Pauling, Sheet Metal Workers, Local 19, Luke Gordon, Stockton University, Don Hudson. And also, while we're on Stockton, Don, Dr. Kesselman, thank you for being such a great host. This is such a terrific room for this event. Really one of our better events. It's great to be here. Your staff has been fantastic, and that's a testament to what you do here at Stockton. So with that, the program is over. You can all go back to work. If you don't go back to work, I won't tell. Have a nice day.